These are the top outdated YouTube tips that you should stop doing immediately because it's killing your channel and wasting your time. Let's dive into it. Now, the first outdated YouTube tip that you should stop doing immediately because it's a total waste of time is keyword research. I don't know if you know this, but if you go into the Creator Studio in fine print, it tells you that tags play a minimal role in more people finding your videos and you getting views. And so here's what I would do instead. I would do the bare minimum. I download a plugin like TubeBuddy and I would just use the keywords that TubeBuddy recommends. And this should only take 1 minute. If you're spending more than 1 minute choosing the tags for your videos, then you're being incredibly inefficient and that extra work is not going to get you better results. The second thing that you should stop doing immediately is adding intro trailers to the beginning of your video. Stop adding those intro trailers because the first 30 seconds is the most precious real estate that you have for your video. And when you add things like music, your logos, unnecessary B-roll, just to make your videos look fancy, you're actually hurting your audience retention report. Fun fact is that less than 50% of people actually stay past the 30-second mark. And a part of YouTube's evaluation of whether your video is good or not is they look at how many people you're able to retain past the 30 seconds. And ideally, you should be retaining over 50% of people. And so when you add things like this that are fancy and look nice and are cute, you're actually causing people to drop off. And this will likely show in your audience retention report where before the 30-second mark hits, or even when that trailer is being played, people are just dipping out of your video. And so what I would do instead is I would go immediately to hooking my audience within the first moment that they click on the video and immediately bring them to the meat and to the content of why they clicked that video in the first place. If you looked at the beginning of this video, I was pretty quick in telling you what this video is going to be about and what problem it solves, and then I immediately went into the first tip. This allows me to retain at least 70% of people within those first 30 seconds, which is crucial to your success on YouTube. So if you are someone who either has or is considering to add those intro trailers to the beginning of your video, don't do it. Even if it's like 1 second of you showing your logo and showing some music, just scrap that immediately and just go straight into the actual value that you want to provide instead. Now, moving on to the next outdated tip that you should stop following this year because it's hurting your channel as well, and that is creating a separate channel for your YouTube Shorts. This was valid advice before, but it is currently outdated. Now, to give you some context, back then when YouTube Shorts first came out, nobody really knew what to do with it, including YouTube. And what we found was that YouTube Shorts were actually hurting the main channel because it was pulling the stats down since they were such short videos. But that has since changed because YouTube released news saying that Shorts will now have a relationship to your long form content, meaning that if someone watches your YouTube Shorts, it's more likely that they're going to be shown your long form content on their algorithm as well. YouTube has also added a few cool features to create more synergies between short form content and long form content on YouTube. For example, you're actually able to edit YouTube Shorts and pull them from your long form videos and edit them natively on the mobile app. And once you do that, if someone watches your YouTube Shorts, they can click on it and it will direct them immediately to the main long form video. And so you can see that YouTube is really trying to make sure that there's a relationship between long form content and short form content. That's why if you're creating a separate channel for your YouTube Shorts, you're really cutting yourself off from a lot of traffic sources that can lead into your main channel. Not only this, during the time that I'm filming this video, YouTube Shorts is on the rise. We're seeing a huge uptick in views when it comes to YouTube Shorts because YouTube is currently pushing it out a lot more on their algorithm. And so if you have your YouTube Shorts on your main channel, then it's really going to benefit in growing your main channel as well. So that's why you definitely don't want to be creating a separate channel for YouTube Shorts anymore and keep it all in one place. There's also news in the future that YouTube will actually update your main page so that your YouTube Shorts are on one tab and your long form content is in another. At the time that I'm filming this video, it currently hasn't been implemented yet, but hopefully they'll be doing that soon, which gives you even more reason to put all of your content in one place. Now let's talk about the next outdated tip, and that is people thinking that in order to win big on YouTube, you need to rank in search. This is actually not true. If you truly want to win on YouTube and rack up your watch time and get tons of views, you actually want to optimize your videos for suggested. For the longest time, I also thought that the most important thing was to rank on search, and even though that is helpful, where you really want to be at is suggested. And the reason why is because when we actually look at our analytics, the people who come through suggested actually watch videos for longer. And it's likely because they're already primed to watch those videos. Whereas the people who are just searching, they're really trying to search for a solution and they might be super impatient. And so the watch time is a lot less and the view duration is a lot less from people coming from search. Now, it's not to say that search is not good, but it's just saying that suggested is better. And so how do you actually rank for suggested? Well, the first thing is to create longer videos. YouTube favors longer videos because their biggest metric is watch time. They want people to watch as many minutes as possible on the platform without leaving. And so they're more likely to push longer videos in suggested. Not only this, my recommendation as well is to make sure that you're creating videos that piggyback off of other successful videos. So for instance, let's say you have a video that's about Instagram and how to grow on Instagram. You might want to create a video with a similar title to increase your chances of being in suggested on that sidebar. And so when you actually think about optimizing for suggested, it's really going to help you get more views and get more watch time over time. Whereas if you only think about search, you can still get some results, but you're not going to get as good of a result versus if you optimize for suggested. Now, speaking on the topic of watch time, the next outdated tip is one that I used to recommend, and that is creating videos that are only 10 minutes long. I highly disagree with this because if you want to increase your watch time, you're gonna wanna do longer videos. Now, the reason why I used to recommend keeping your videos short and concise, maybe about 10 minutes is the sweet spot, is because I used to think that the most important metric was to get someone to watch the entire video. And so that was basically optimizing for audience retention. But if the main metric to succeed on YouTube is watch time, meaning you want to be a creator, you want to be a channel that's racking up a lot of watch time, which will encourage YouTube to keep pushing your videos, you're going to want to make sure your videos are actually optimized for watch time instead. And so, for example, if you have a 10-minute video and someone watches 100% of that video, that's great. That's about 10 minutes of watch time. But if you created a 1-hour video and someone watches 50% of it, they only watch half of it, that's 30 minutes of watch time. And so that's 3 times more watch time than you would get with a 10-minute video, even if this person didn't finish the video. And so how I'm doing it on YouTube now is, even though I of course want you guys to watch the entire video, I'm more looking at the amount of minutes that you guys are watching instead of you guys watching the full thing, even if it's a 5-minute video. And so moving forward in your YouTube strategy, you really want to think about watch time, watch time, watch time, instead of thinking about any other metric, because at the moment, watch time is still currently the most important metric that's going to dictate your success on YouTube and whether or not YouTube is going to push out your videos. Now on to the next outdated tip that you should stop doing in order to secure the success of your channel is thinking that click-through rate is the most important metric when choosing a thumbnail. This sounds shocking because most times we assume that the thumbnail that has the highest click-through rate should be the thumbnail that we select. But we actually started running a lot of A/B tests on numerous thumbnails on our channel. And by the way, we use TubeBuddy for that. We're on the Legend license. You can use my coupon code right here to get a discount. But anyways, we actually ran a lot of different A/B tests on our thumbnails. And even though I thought that the main metric was to pick the thumbnail that had the highest click-through rate, when we actually looked at the data, we were shocked. We saw that even though a thumbnail had a higher click-through rate, it actually attracted the wrong audience. It attracted an audience that might have clicked the video, but didn't actually watch a lot of the video. And so average view duration was a lot lower on some of the thumbnails that had higher click-through rate. And so I learned something that day, and that is, even though a thumbnail has a high click-through rate, you really want to pay attention to whether it's attracting the right audience that's giving you good view duration and good watch time. Not only this, when we actually looked into the data, the thumbnail that didn't have a higher click-through rate, we actually saw that YouTube pushed it out even more in suggested, which is what we want. If you are someone who is doing A/B testing on your thumbnails, don't just discount a thumbnail because it had a lower click-through rate. Make sure you're actually spending time to read the data and understand what type of audience it's bringing in and whether that audience is actually watching your videos for longer or for shorter. And so, the next time you think about thumbnail success, don't just think about click-through rate and look at the full picture instead. Now, moving on to the next outdated YouTube tip that you should stop doing because it's wasting your time and also hurting your results is maxing out your end screens. End screens are the few things that you could add at the end of your video. But what you have to realize is just because YouTube gives you all those slots to add your end screens doesn't mean that you should use them. Back then, I used to max it all out. I would have 2 videos on my end screens and also my YouTube subscribe button. I would just max every single tool and every single placement that YouTube gave me. But it was actually hurting my results. And so what we experimented was instead of just having 2 end screens, we trimmed it down and simplified it just to 1. And now at the end of my videos, I'm very specific on what the next video I want my audience to watch is. And what we found is we went from 2% end screen clicks to about 20 to 30% end screen clicks just because we simplified the amount of choices that the audience has to pick when they're trying to figure out what the next video they should be watching next. And so, what my recommendation is to you is when you're adding your end screens, just pick one very strategic video that you want your audience to watch next, because that's gonna increase the amount of clicks that you get on that video. And if you do that for all the other videos, you're essentially creating a binge loop of people watching the next video and the next video and the next video. And so the next time that you're choosing your end screens, make sure that you only have one option for your audience to pick, and also be very compelling in your reason as to why they should watch that next video. You're gonna get more views and more clicks by just doing this one simple shift. Now I wanna talk about the next outdated tip that I hope that most of you guys aren't doing on YouTube, because it's not only wasting your time, not getting results, but it's also wasting your money. One thing that I used to do because someone told me to do it was I would actually manually upload captions to my YouTube videos. I would use a service called Rev, and I would pay for all the transcriptions to be done. And as a part of our workflow, we would upload those manually to YouTube to get that CC logo underneath our videos. And what I realized was that it was such a waste of money because YouTube already auto-transcribes your videos. YouTube has gone a lot smarter in the algorithm. It knows what your video is about now. And so it's just a waste of money. And what I found was when I stopped doing this, I got the same amount of views, the same amount of results. It did not make a difference. And so if you are someone who might be using this tip and paying for captions and manually adding it to your videos, stop doing it right now, because you're basically burning your money and it doesn't get you any better result than if you just uploaded the video without those captions. You're welcome. Now, the next outdated tip here on YouTube that I have for you is a controversial one. And so don't come for me, but this is all purely based on data, and that is adding chapters to your videos. I know, as a viewer, you love getting the chapters because it allows you to click through what you want and allows you to clearly see what the video is about. But it takes a while to not only create those chapters to add into your description to create that, but it also hurts your videos. And what I mean by that is when we actually observed our data, our videos that had chapters actually had lower view duration and poorer audience retention. We also saw a lot of different spikes on the graphs because people were just clicking to where they wanted to go to and completely discounting the rest of the video. And so what we started doing was we actually started to remove chapters from our videos, and we actually saw our watch time and our view duration go up. And so I know this is controversial because for a viewer, it's definitely beneficial to have those chapters, but as the creator, it might not be the best idea. And so this is just me sharing what I've been learning and what I have been observing. And so maybe you should consider to test out not adding chapters to your videos and see what it does to your audience retention curves. Now on to the next YouTube tip that you should stop following, and that is thinking that fancy equipment means that you're gonna have a more successful channel. That is simply not true, and trust me, I went through a phase where I spent over like $5,000, $6,000 on YouTube equipment thinking that it was going to take my channel to the next level, and it didn't, okay? I didn't get any more views than I usually did. I didn't get any better watch time than I usually had, and if anything, I actually downsized my equipment. And now I just use the Sony ZV-1 with a Rode Video Micro on a Joby Grip Type Pro Stick, and I talk all about equipment in this video right here if you want to check it out, but it is significantly cheaper than what I had before. I had a rolling studio, I had an LCD monitor, I had a super expensive and heavy ass camera that I hated using, even though it looked really fancy. It just simply wasn't worth it. And so if you are someone who is considering to start a channel or improve your channel, my recommendation is just to create better content. And when it comes to equipment, just pick the equipment that you feel the most comfortable filming with. So for instance, when I had this crazy setup, I was always uncomfortable filming videos because it was so complicated, it would slow me down, and all the equipment was just heavy and I didn't know how to operate it without calling a professional. Now, I'm a lot more confident and free in creating videos because I use my simple vlogging camera that is so lightweight. I understand how to use it. I understand how to function the microphone. If something happens, I know exactly what to fix. It's Googleable. And so it has significantly enhanced my happiness as a creator. And my audience actually likes this dumbed down equipment because it seems more relatable. When you have crazy equipment, it's great for some people, and if that's something that you love geeking out on, it's great. But for a lot of people, they might be looking at you as someone that they relate to. And so when you have this crazy setup that's unnecessary because you think it's what's gonna make you successful, not necessarily because you're passionate about equipment, then it creates a disconnect from your audience. And finally, if you actually think about how a YouTube algorithm works and all the metrics, you have to realize that a better quality video doesn't necessarily increase the amount of clicks that you get or increase the amount of views. It might actually increase your view duration and your watch time, which is great, but only to a certain degree. It's not really about how expensive your camera is or how great your lighting is. It's more about your cinematography and how you actually edit the video and you piece it together and your storytelling. That's what's really going to get someone to watch until the very end. And so keep that in mind if you're thinking of forking out thousands of dollars on equipment. Now, at this point of the video, I've talked about what you should not do this year and beyond when it comes to securing the success for your YouTube channel. But what I want you to watch next is this video right here, where I show you the exact step-by-step of how you can have a successful YouTube channel this year and beyond. And so thank you so much for watching this video, but I will see you in this one next.